The chapter begins with Yuji, Choso and Kamo. Yuji asks Choso to teach him convergence, but Choso isn't a good teacher. Kamo clearly explains how blood manipulation works and convergence. Choso says he can teach Yuji how to use supernova attack, but Kamo rebukes Choso's suggestion and says that Yuji should learn blood manipulation only, knowing how to stop the bleeding and suturing. Choso gets sad and pouts for not being able to teach Yuji. Yuji also reveals that the second person he swapped with is YUTA OKKOTSU. We then return to the fight where we get some narrator notes. Only by going through the cooking process of both Dismantle and Cleave will the door open to Kamino. It lacks relative speed to its fire and has a narrator effect range. To resolve these issues, Sukuna imposed a binding vow on himself. Uraume says it's our win as the narrator continues to explain that Kamino's heat results in a decompression and overpressure, leading to the death of living beings caught inside the domain. We then get another narrator's note saying this is Ryumen Sukuna's ultimate technique that slaughtered Mahoraga in one strike. This means that the fire arrow that we saw Sukuna use against Mahoraga wasn't Fuga, but Kamino. The narrator explains that during Gojo's fight, Sukuna had to repeatedly change the specifications of his domain, narrowing it to its effective range, due to which Sukuna deemed it insufficient to unleash Kamino. Thus, Sukuna had to seal it during his fight with Gojo. Before the flames could hit Yuji, Choso sacrifices himself and makes a barrier of blood around him to protect Yuji inside, and Choso slowly dies as he says he's sorry for being useless during their training. Choso and Yuji are in their imaginary soul world. Choso compliments Yuji for learning reverse cast technique faster than him. Yuji says that due to Sukuna using his body did he achieve it, but Choso says it's okay. Little brothers are meant to surpass their older brothers. Yuji scolds Choso and says that you can't just disappear. Choso agrees and says that he needs to apologize to Tsukumo too. Choso then apologizes for leaving Yuji alone again. Yuji tells Choso that he was always by his side when things were the toughest, and that's more than enough, to which Choso agrees. Eso asks whether Choso is there, to which Choso confirms. Kachizu tells Choso that he's cold, to which Choso agrees and says that they should talk. Choso says that if they talk together, they'll forget the cold, and Choso tells them that the 150 years they experienced together was only a few days for Yuji. Back to reality, Choso departs with final words thanking Yuji for becoming his brother. Yuji says goodbye to Choso as he finally says, "Thank you, big brother." As everything crumbles down, Yuji helplessly asks, "Someone? Guys?" The narrator says that Yuji convinced himself that he was a cog. No matter what happened, he was meant to fulfill that role. But as the scorched earth's heat begins to push his way, it shook the foundation of his resolve. The resolve to repay his brother who had sacrificed his life to protect him. Yuji hopelessly sees Sukuna coming towards him, but Todo once again arrives to the battlefield to help his brother. We get another flashback where Todo and Meimei plan on how to rescue people trapped inside Sukuna's domain. By using Meimei's crows and Todo's boogie woogie, they will be able to get people outside. Since Sukuna's domain instantly kills, Todo can't guarantee their lives, but it's good to try. Mei says since Todo will be outside of Sukuna's domain, he has to expand his cast technique range by a lot. So she asks whether he can really do it with those arms. Todo says that he's not really sure of succeeding, but he says that he can feel the heartbeat of Boogie Woogie. Todo says they can't let Yuji know of this plan. Yuji and Sukuna were once two souls in one body. Even though it's in the past, that connection itself is strong. So there's a possibility their plan will be unknowingly spilled to Sukuna. The narrator says that even Todo was uncertain of his ally's safety and couldn't manage to move Choso and Yuji outside the domain since they were both right at the center of the domain. Todo couldn't explain all of this to Yuji, so Todo tries to encourage him by saying, "I'm sorry brother, but the other sorcerers are probably alright." Yuji tries to steal his resolve by thinking that the other sorcerers are probably alright and he has to believe in Todo for now. Yuji and Todo rush towards Sukuna as the narrator reveals that Sukuna is now at a state where it's difficult to use his cast technique after domain expansion. We then get an editor's comment at the end of JJK 259, The Path to Victory, linked by the brothers. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed this chapter today, please like and subscribe for more JJK content.